Welcome to r/EntitledParents, where this entitled mother thinks that bisexuality is a choice and is something that you'll eventually grow out of. Incredible, I know. Let's get into the story. You're still bi? I thought you'd grow out of that once we started dating. Entitled mummy breaks up with me for laughing at her son. This is the second time now getting cheated on has led to me being dumped. At least this time it wasn't totally baffling. So, I've been dating this guy for about 4 months now. He's not my usual type as he's very naive and sheltered, whereas my life has been a joyous ride of how in the name of flapjacks did I survive that BS. He's nice and funny. We met at uni and for the most part it was fine. There were a few red flags, like his mum still irons and folds his undies and socks for him, but let's be real, people in their early 20s still living at home is not even a shocking thing anymore. I just think it's a bit psychotic to iron socks, but hey, that's just me. Anyway, on Saturday he went out for a lads' night with his friends. He hooks up with a girl, they have sex, and yesterday she messaged me on Facebook to basically say, "Sorry, I was drunk and slept with your boyfriend. I had no idea he was in a relationship. I'm really sorry." I was fine with it. I thought it was nice for her to reach out and let me know. She's actually really cool and we chatted for a bit and decided to go and grab a Costa together on Thursday. I like talking to her and we've got a lot in common. This is completely platonic. Now, I mentioned in my last post that monogamy isn't really my thing. Unless we've had a discussion and agreed to be monogamous, I do not care. I don't tend to sleep with people in general. I've got a low sex drive due to pure exhaustion and cancer, so if you want it and I'm not up for it, go get it somewhere else. I don't care. Just use condoms and don't be with the same person multiple times, because there's a difference between casual sex and multiple relationships. He gets home, and I casually mention that the girl messaged me, and we've been talking, and I reassure him I don't mind that he slept with someone else. I just prefer in future if he wears a condom, and I hope he wouldn't mind getting tested before we sleep together again. He was fine with all of that and was really surprised with how well I took it. But I discussed my feelings on monogamy with him before we started dating, so it wasn't a massive shock, like it was to the last prat. Then I make an offhanded joke, saying, "Next time you decide to sleep with a hot girl, let me know, and if I'm up for it, maybe we can turn it into a threesome." It was said jokingly, and I was 100% joking. And then he said, "Why would you want to sleep with another girl?" This is where the overall stupidity kicks in. I remind him I am bisexual, and he says exactly what it says in the title. With a really confused face, he says, "You're still bi? I thought you'd outgrow that when we started dating." He follows this up with, "My mum said you would, because bisexuality is just a phase." I facepalmed, like I threw my hand to my forehead so hard, my butt jiggled from the force of the slap. It was just so ridiculously stupid for a 24-year-old male in the 21st century of Britain to be saying these kinds of things. Like, I know you're naive, but do you not watch TV? Do you not go on social media? What in the name of RuPaul do you think sexuality is at 24? To think bisexuality is a phase? I didn't know what to say. I stood looking at him like he just sprouted another head out of his armpit. And may I point out, this guy is doing a BSc in sociology, a course I did for undergraduate, and I know that sexuality and gender are two things very much covered in any sociology course. I was floored. It took me a few minutes to regain my composure, and I realized I had two options. Laugh at the sheer ridiculousness of a 24-year-old male having not only discussed my sexuality with his mum, but had believed her when she told him I'd grow out of it, or I could try and explain sexuality to an adult sociology student. I knew the status of my relationship was at stake with whatever decision I made. I contemplated hard, and then I laughed so hard my bladder nearly burst. Sorry, not the mature decision, but you know what? I don't care. It was freaking hilarious. He'd said it with such honest innocence. Look, I can live with his mum ironing his socks, and I can live with his mum still buying his clothes and taking him to get a haircut, because honestly, I've got my own shortcomings, and if he can tolerate those, I can tolerate his. But I will not live with someone being so clueless about sexuality. Maybe I'm the entitled one here. Maybe I have too high of an expectation of people, but hey ho. He of course got mad that I laughed at him. He started shouting, and I kid you not, he managed to fit "my mum says," "mum said that," and "but my mum is" into one 45-ish second monologue 7 times. I would do a lot of things for love, but I won't compete with mummy. Frankly, I just didn't feel enough for him to even try. He grabbed his backpack, called his mum to come and get him, and then left. That night, after chatting with the girl he slept with and laughing some more, his mother sent me this text. I cannot believe you would humiliate my son like that. You selfish, stupid little bitch. You are a fat, ugly slut who is using bisexuality, spelt just like that. Okay, so BISEUXLAITY. Wow, that's unbelievable. As an excuse to whore around. I know your type, and you've just thrown away the best thing you'll ever have with my son. My son deserves way better than a fat little slut like you. You are scum. We'll be coming tomorrow to get the rest of his things from your house, and I will be bringing my brother to deal with you if you try and pull anything. He knows how to deal with trash. If you try and steal anything, I'll call the police. You'd better be there when we get there. Scum. So yeah, not only did his mother break up with me for him, though I'd pretty much expected the breakup, she also called me some lovely names. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there. I had to text her back, asking what time she'd be coming, ignoring everything else, and she didn't respond. No way in Hades was I waiting around all day for this lunatic, her brother, and son to turn up for his laptop, toothbrush, and some random bits of clothes. This brings me to this morning. I popped all his stuff in a bag and left it by the front door, except his laptop, which was on the table next to the front door, just because I didn't want to break it. I do the school run for my sister every morning because she doesn't drive. Off we go at 8:20. We drop my gorgeous little nephew off at school at 8:50, get home for 9:30, having stopped at the shop on the way home as my sister needed to pick up a few bits for the boyo. Guess who was there, waiting outside my front door? If you'd guessed the tantruming trio, you'd be right. If you'd guessed the police, you'd also be right. Most logical people would say, she's not home. Guess we'll have to wait or come back later. But an entitled mum with serious emotional incest issues, she's not in. We should break into her house. I get there, and this witch is handcuffed in the back of a police car. My double-glazed stained glass window pane that has a rose decoration broken into sections by bits of metal looks as though it's gone 3 rounds with a rock. Because it had. And my ex's uncle is shouting at the officer that I'm a thief and they were just coming to get what was my ex's. The officer reminds him, even if they were trying to retrieve his property, breaking and entering is still a crime. The police officer then approaches me and says, "Good morning, miss. This gentleman says you had arranged for them to come and collect this young man's possessions this morning. Is that true?" I replied with, "No, my ex's mum sent me this message last night." I show her my phone. And she didn't reply with a time. But she does know that I do the school run every day, so I'm not sure why they chose now. The officer reads over my phone, calls over his colleague, and they go over to the witch in cuffs. They ask her, "What did you mean when you told this girl your brother will deal with her?" The witch starts to babble, the brother gets very quiet, and my ex just looked lost. Also, his brother is basically the same height as me, and I have more fat in one butt cheek than he does in his entire body, so I could definitely take him. I'm just completely bemused at this point. The officers come back over and explain that because she was caught in the act by police attempting to break into my house, I do not have a choice about pressing charges. And I ask if I'd like to add harassment and making threats to the list. I'm in the middle of a court case already due to a certain lunger, and I really don't have the mental capacity right now, so I decline. They take pictures of the damage, not that there was much. I give them my ex's stuff so he can leave, and off they go. Once I clean the window, there is a tiny crack on the outside glass that did not affect the front pane. So, I'm now 15 stone lighter and getting a little flirty with the girl he slept with on Saturday. What am I taking away from this relationship? Well, if mummy irons his undies, regardless of age, run, fast and far, and preferably with a pretty brunette in the future. I hope you enjoyed and wish me luck for tomorrow for my maybe not so platonic Costa with the girl he cheated on me with. And there we go, guys. In case you're wondering, this entitled mum has now confirmed that bisexuality is something that you grow out of. It's good to know because I didn't know that myself. So now that I do, wow, I feel enlightened and wow, very, very happy that I've now gained this knowledge. I can move on with my life now. In all seriousness, what an idiot. That is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's definitely up there. The fact that this bloke is just a massive mummy's boy as well is just sad, ultimately. ultimately. Nothing wrong with your mum doing some things for you. Trust me, I still live at home, but you know, ironing socks, that's a red flag in itself. Come on. I think this guy's reliance to just go with whatever his mum says is very, very strange. Like, come on, he's 24 and he has none of his own opinions. He just has to go with whatever his mum suggests. That's embarrassing. Forget the stuff about, you know, his mum does everything for him. The fact that he is pretty much just non-existent as a human, he is just his mum reincarnated, is the most embarrassing thing. Let's be realistic. The only slight positive you can take from this OP is that at least you found this out about this bloke long before you've, you know, got into something way too serious with him. Like, imagine you marry him and then you realize what his mother's like. That's the only sort of positive you can take. This happened at this point and not further down the road. Look, not all guys are like this, that's for sure, but some. Wow. To be honest with you guys, it just does baffle me. In the year 2022, some people think that sexuality is a choice. Newsflash, it's not. I mean, who knew that? Not me personally. And you know what's funny as well is that I know that I'm going to get a comment on this video that says something like, it is a choice. What are you talking about? Like, genuinely, even some of you watching right now, yes, in the vast minority, of course, there will be at least one person who will comment on this video something ridiculous like, you know, the stuff I've just said. And you know what? I will pin that comment just to make an example of them. And you watching this outro right now will now go into the comments, if you're on YouTube, and see it and laugh with me. And we'll all laugh together at the horrificness of some opinions in the year 2022. Wow. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/EntitledParents. One of the most peculiar stories that I've read in a while. Really hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did and you want more stories like this right away, then check out this video that I've posted on screen. It is an 11-hour video. I mean, come on. Chuck it on. Put it in the background. Just listen to it. It's good stuff. Easy listening. Loads of people that you can laugh at their stupidity. That's the main thing, isn't it? People are stupid. More stupid than you and me. Let's laugh at them. Sounds good.